Hello, Taurus. This is Ashley. We're going to look at your eclipse bonus. And we're going to look at just a couple of themes using these oracle cards here. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. And then we're going to do a Celtic cross to get some idea on what this eclipse season is bringing in for you. Now, before we get started, I'll get the cards laid out here, and then we'll dive in and get some clarification. But before that happens, make sure to check out the description box down below, because I'm going to list all the different lunations that are taking place as part of this eclipse season. So it started on November 4th with the Scorpio new moon, and it's going to go until January 2nd. Now within that time we have 2 eclipses and then several other lunations. But I'm also putting the houses that are impacted in your chart specifically. So I definitely recommend that you watch your rising sign, as I'm going to apply it to the rising signs. You can certainly watch your sun sign. There will certainly be some intuitive messages there for you, but overall, I encourage you to watch your rising sign. And there's also a website down below on how to determine what that is if you don't yet know what your rising sign is. I put a free website down there that you can use to find that. Alright. Trying to get all these cards on camera. We might not succeed. So I will show them to you as we go. Let's get them all laid out here. Alright, so at the bottom of the deck we have the Wheel of Fortune. So certainly some shifts coming up for you, Taurus, because this eclipse is happening in your sign, right? So definitely some sort of shift in direction, some sort of fated change coming in. And that's really what eclipse season is all about, fated shifts. We're going from the Gemini Sagittarius nodes, and we're moving into the Scorpio Taurus nodes coming up in January. It just so happens that this first eclipse that we're having is happening in the sign of Taurus, while the North Node is still in Gemini, but it's just right on the edge of going into Taurus. So we're kind of getting a taste of what the next 18 months are going to look like. So let's see what we have here. We have the Tree of Life. So certainly some abundance messages coming in there. I'm going to read from the book for both of these cards, but I do feel like there's something coming in as far as something you may have already begun to plant your roots into that is showing up and having some growth happen. Could definitely have some themes of ancestry type stuff coming up for you. Perhaps some old healing that needs done as part of your ancestry. This can also be grounding further in order to be able to ascend higher, right? We also have the upper world here, and it kind of looks like a picture of an owl, although I don't really see its face. So certainly some higher wisdom as well coming in. So let's look at those real quick before we get into the Celtic cross. So 58 is the Tree of Life. Its deep roots reach into the lower world, the unconscious, while its branches reach towards the heavens, the source of destiny. To be whole in your life's journey, it's important to have deep roots and high branches. A tall tree with shallow roots falls in the first wind, but a tree with deep roots can weather any storm. It says to find health and balance in your life, reflect on how you dance with your actions, your thoughts, and your feelings. If you're too much in your head or in a world of fantasies and daydreaming, connect more with your roots and physical body. If you're caught in mechanical doing and you feel stuck, not able to imagine a better life for yourself, open yourself to be inspired by the heavens. And then we have 59. So it's interesting. They're in sequential order here, 58 and 59. It says, angels, divine helpers, the ancient ones, and all varieties of luminous beings populate the upper world. It is the place where you go to retrieve your destiny and find out who you will become. It says the upper world is calling you to step into your fully realized self. Clear distractions so that you can move into higher destiny. Do not fall into the temptation to craft a slightly more improved version of yourself. Interesting. So a lot of messages about reaching upwards there, as you no doubt as a Taurus have some deep grounded roots, right? So let's look into the reading itself and see what's going on. In the heart of the matter, we have the Seven of Wands. So you're definitely standing up for something here. Could be feeling a little bit defensive about, you can see he's kind of up on this higher ground here as all these wands are down below. And one of the things I find interesting about this card that a lot of people don't talk about is he's like fighting off these wands, but he's already on higher ground here. And so certainly something to keep an eye out for if you're like defending something when you're already at another level. It's kind of like it doesn't even need defending, if that makes sense. I often think of the hill that you're willing to die on with this card. If you've ever heard that terminology. And it's crossed with the Queen of Cups. So you could definitely be having some intuitive hits kind of coming in that are challenging your stance at this time. Could also be supporting you. In the cross position, it's either an influence or a conflict that's coming up. So we'll look more into that. But I get more, I want to say that like on some level, there's like this deep warrior mode going on here. And I think it's almost like you're being called to step more into the feminine in this instance for who's watching at this time. Now in the past we have the Knight of Pentacles. So solid steps into the future here, but certainly could feel like things have been moving quite slowly for some time, right? This Knight is the slowest in the deck, but it's kind of like the tortoise that wins the race, kind of. And so it's probably maybe felt like something in your life has been moving quite slowly. Now it does look like there's been an ending in the recent past here with the Death card. So we'll look and see what that might have been in recent past. Now in the potential here, we have the Well. So this deck has 2 extra cards, and you actually have both of them. So we'll get to that on top of the normal major arcana. So the Well here, it's like kind of like make a wish, you know, imagination kind of energy there, like you're throwing a wish into the well. So we'll see what it is that you're kind of dreaming about, which is what came up with that upper world, kind of using that imagination and kind of, I almost want to say fantasizing, but not to that extreme, like just kind of trying to picture the possibilities in your mind. Now you do have the star coming into your near future, so that's super positive. Could certainly be some destined event or person coming in, something that is, you know, in line with your destiny here. Could also be some healing available as well. Where you're at right now, we have the Eight of Swords, so I feel like this stuck energy has more to do with this Knight of Pentacles in the deep past. It's kind of moved so slowly that you might be feeling a bit frustrated or up in your head about it, for sure. In your environment, it looks like we have a decision to make here. So we're going to see what might be coming up with that. Could also be a lot of work happening at this time. Something that's keeping you quite busy as well. Your hopes and fears, we've got the Nine of Wands. So more of that guarded energy we were talking about with the Seven of Wands. And then in the outcome, we have the Artist. So it's kind of like, there's like a lot of, I almost want to say Pisces energy in this reading, like like that daydreaming. When we talked about the well, kind of like making a wish, to me this outcome is like actually putting it down on paper or bringing it down to earth. So I'll be curious to see what we get from this, because it looks like your imagination is definitely working overtime during eclipse season, really trying to kind of come up with your best version of what could be to come as you move forward. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. This Taurus eclipse that's happening on the 19th, it's happening in your first house. And so you could certainly be making a shift in such a way where other people's view of you is changed. It could also be that you're having a bit of a different perspective on the world at large as well. So first house is very much about how you come across to other people and the lens with which you see the world. And I do feel like that's expanding with all of this very dreamy energy showing up here in so many places. I almost feel like you're going to be seeing a different way or getting a different view of how you could have an impact in the world here, what you could create here, because I do feel like it's quite different from what you've been doing before here, which is, you know, much more grounded, right? Not that I don't think you'll make this grounded. I do feel like that's where it's headed, but it's kind of, it's different. The other eclipse is happening in your 8th house. And so quite a bit of transformation associated with the 8th house. It's the house of death, ego deaths, other people's money, taxes, that kind of thing. Essentially the resources that others provide. And so we'll have to see if that comes up at all in the themes here. We certainly have the death card in the recent past, but let's get going on clarifying here and see what's going on for Taurus this eclipse season. Why do we have the Seven of Wands? What are we defending here? Oh, the death card. and the Page of Cups. So certainly some of you could be dealing with a water sign. I do feel like perhaps for some of you, I do feel like there's definitely been some kind of ending here. I almost wonder if this Page of Cups is an apology that's come towards you and you have maybe refused it, or you're certainly guarded against it. Something that's ended here in the past. Could also be a situation where you decided to close a cycle somewhere. This could have been a relationship or a job, for example. And somebody reached out in an attempt to prevent you from leaving, right? So take that as it resonates. Why is this Queen of Cups coming in as the influence or conflict here? We have the Two of Wands. Oh, had something flip over there. Okay. And the Six of Pentacles. So certainly could have more than one job offer here. And I think you're definitely trying to use your intuition to help guide you. In fact, for some of you, I want to say that maybe you're not liking what your intuition is saying. But I definitely feel like you may have had a decision here where you wanted something more. It could have been some unfairness happening in a relationship or workplace. And I think you were aware, or your intuition was telling you that you're worth more, right? Even if on a human level you have questioned that, or you have some insecurities around that. So I do feel like you may have had to make a choice here and base it off of your gut feeling here. And I don't know that it does feel like you've encountered some kind of challenge to your choice, whatever that might be for you. Now, this could be happening during eclipse season, just beforehand. So keep that in mind as well. But this Knight of Pentacles in the deep past, what is this about? We have the Queen of Swords. And the Nine of Pentacles. So some air and Virgo showing up here. We also have Cancer and Scorpio. Definitely some Earth as well, for those of you that are interested. I do feel like perhaps someone came in and attempted to make an offer to you and you rejected it in the deep past here. It could be that they were so slow to make this offer that by the time it showed up, you were not interested anymore. It does feel like, I get this, it's kind of interesting because typically with Taurus readings, I don't have so much of this energy that I'm getting right now, and it feels a lot like, it almost feels like I'm reading for an air sign here, because it's like a lot of mental stubbornness almost. And that's not as an insult. What I'm saying here is there's a lot less emotion going on here. It feels like you're attempting to make choices from a practical standpoint, from a logical standpoint, even as your intuition was coming in here and trying to influence you in a certain direction. it could even be that you were fighting with it as well. So for those of you that are not dealing with a love situation, this could have for sure been a job offer that you found not enticing and was rejected. In the recent past, we have death. Why do we have that? 5 of Pentacles. And the Queen of Cups again. So, okay. So I feel like whatever was happening here as like the main situation, I do feel like your intuition was speaking up, and perhaps you weren't willing to listen at the time. I do feel like in recent history, however, with this Death card, you've decided to start listening to it. And I do feel like part of it is because you found yourself in a situation where you were either financially strapped or somehow feeling ostracized with this 5 of Pentacles. And I think you're finally allowing the shift to happen in such a way that more complies with your higher self, your deeper intuition here. It could also be that there was something that on an emotional level you were trying to kind of push to the side, like it was in your way, because you were trying to be practical and logical about something. You know, that feeling that I was getting where it was like you were trying to shove emotions to the side. I feel like here in the recent past, that has come to an end. And I think perhaps you had to go on a little bit of a journey here. And it maybe even kind of taught you a little bit of a lesson when it comes to not listening to that intuitive side of yourself. Because I think you've decided to make that change. So something's definitely come to an end here. But, and like I said, could be a job, especially with it being Pentacles here. Could also be a situation where you decided not to collaborate or be in a relationship with a Queen of Cups anymore. So a water sign, like I said, we have some Scorpio, Cancer showing up here. Could also be Pisces. Now, what are you thinking about? What's this wish with the well coming in as we move forward into the future? We have the 8 of Cups. And the High Priestess. So I do feel like we're seeing a story here for sure. It's like you started out really in this defensive position, not wanting to listen to that intuition, trying to make decisions just from a practical standpoint. It burned you in some manner, and now you're beginning to follow it. And what I do feel like your intuition is telling you is that it's time to walk away from something here. Again, could be a Pisces with the High Priestess showing up. But I think you're moving towards something that is more of what you wished for, what you would dream of. Something much more emotionally fulfilling to you. Now, in the future position, we have the Star. So what's this about? Oh, we have the 3 of Pentacles flipping over. What goes with that? Could be some sort of destined collaboration. We're getting a lot of Pentacles here, so certainly could be a work situation coming in. and the Four of Pentacles. So for some of you, now this is not going to apply to all of you. It's interesting. We have the 6, the 5, the 4, the 3 here. For some of you, I feel like whatever work situation you've been in, it has been slowly draining your savings. So I want to mention that because that's something I'm seeing here. But still here in this, why do we have the Four of Pentacles here? Strength card. So whatever's coming in here, this collaboration coming in, I do feel like it's something destined. It's along your path here. You may be a bit guarded about opening yourself up to this. We're getting the World as well. I feel like perhaps it's because there's still some healing about something that closed out in the past that's ongoing here. Whenever we've had this Death card come up, there was something that's been trying to close out here. And you finally decide to follow your intuition and walk towards something better for yourself. But it's like there's an offer perhaps that comes in, a potential collaboration. It could be a work partnership. It could be an Aquarius showing up, wanting to collaborate with you. We have Leo here as well. Fixed signs. Another Taurus or a Scorpio even. But I feel like perhaps the reason why you're a little bit guarded against it is because you're still in this healing process from whatever closed out recently in the recent past. So keep that in mind. You might have your defenses up a little bit. With it being the Star card, however, I do feel like it is part of your path here. And so it could be something that you have to kind of open up to a little bit. With the Eight of Swords, this is where you're sitting at the time of this reading. So during eclipse season, you might be feeling certainly on mental lock here with the Eight of Swords, stuck on something. Why do we have that? We have the Chariot. And that Knight of Pentacles again. So something that was moving very slowly is finally starting to shift here. So that looks really good. I do feel like something about this eclipse season kind of puts the gas pedal on, if that makes sense here. Now the Two of Pentacles being in your environment looks like work, potentially a choice here. What do we have? Tower. And the King of Pentacles, which is your energy, Taurus. So I do feel like there could certainly be a shift situation happening in the work arena for you. Something that kind of puts you in a position of needing to make a decision when it comes to finances. Could also be a potential long-term partner here if you're looking for love. Let me get one more there. And the Hermit. Some Virgo energy here. I almost feel like you potentially have someone coming towards you that has been unbeknownst to you so far. So kind of coming in out of left field, you might not know this person. It could be this the Star Aquarius energy showing up here, wanting to collaborate, and then you're stuck in a position of having to decide to work with this Hermit energy on something, or this Aquarian energy on something. It feels like you have a choice between one collaboration or another. And I think it just kind of surprises you. I'm not getting like anything terrible about this Tower. I do feel like it's something that has been kind of out of reach of your awareness. It's like just, you know how like when you think of your peripheral vision, it's like been just beyond that. And so I think when it shows up, you're a little bit surprised by it. I actually think you might take the less obvious path here, if that makes sense, or might make sense here into eclipse season. You could find that you end up following the path that is less likely for you. And what I mean by that is that I'm thinking of your first house energy here. And so perhaps you've been doing something your whole life, right? And then out of nowhere you decide to take a different path. People are going to see you differently because you have shifted your identity, right? In some ways. And so I want to say that it'll be the one like that makes the least sense to you as a person. I hope that makes sense. Let's see, 9 of Wands in the hopes and fears. I definitely feel like you're guarded still. I don't think that you want to put yourself at risk here. Guarded against a situation turning toxic for sure. Perhaps you've been in work or relationship situations in the past that were very toxic and controlling, and your biggest fear is that one of these options would turn out that way. Yeah, and the 7 of Cups. So I think you want to be clear on what your part of the bargain is. So keep that in mind. If this is like job offers coming in, it's perfectly acceptable to say, okay, what are the expectations? What is my role? Outline the whole thing so that you know ahead of time, like read the fine print is what I'm saying here. I don't think it's because anybody here is coming in with bad intentions, but I think it will help to ease your worries is what I want to say. Now in the outcome, we have the Artist. So I do feel like you're creating something here. Definitely bringing that imagination down to earth. So what's this? We have the 3 of Swords. And the 2 of Cups. Now, what was I saying about left field? I feel like that came out of left field here. Whoops. I keep noticing this guy has wings on his ankle. If you can see that. And it's reminding me of Mercury, the god Hermes. So I do feel like there's potentially some communication coming in here as well. Oh, what was that? Yeah, Page of Pentacles. So if you are dealing with a relationship here, because we do have the 2 of Cups coming in, we're getting the Three of Wands to clarify the Three of Swords. So I feel like, here's what I want to say, to just sum up this whole reading. And I'm trying to make this make sense. Whether you've been dealing with a work situation or a love situation here, I do see you kind of more stepping into that intuitive kind of upper world guidance here during eclipse season. I do feel like you're going to have more than one offer coming in here, whether it's work, love, both, right? But what I see happening here is that because of something that happened to you in the past, your guard is up and you're worried that you're going to get into something that's controlling or deceptive or toxic. And so I feel like what this Artist card is talking about is that you're going to expand upon the thing that you're focused on. You can see he is like studying this tree in order to create it in his painting here. And when I clarified the Three of Swords, we got the Three of Wands. Now, I do feel like you have the ability to expand beyond what you've experienced before. Like, it's been talking about that the whole time. But keep in mind that what you focus on will grow, right? So if there's healing here that needs to happen because of some ending that happened in the past, do that. Do that healing. Because I could see you potentially remaining guarded in some of these situations and passing up on opportunities out of fear rather than passing them up because they're not worthy of you, if that makes sense. So lots of upper world, tree of life, talking about those branches going up. I do feel like your intuition is going to be screaming at you this whole time. So listen to it. But we've got offers coming in here in every way, shape, and form. So you're definitely going to be able to get unstuck. Like, it's like the waiting game that you've been playing is over, right? Waiting on this Knight of Pentacles that's been taking forever. It's finally moving, but as it gets moving, I think it starts pulling up maybe some fears of the past that still need some work. Otherwise, you could create a repeat of what you've dealt with in the past. So keep that in mind. Do the healing. Listen to that intuition. And I think things will turn out swimmingly. So I hope that was helpful, Taurus. That felt like kind of a confusing reading for your sign. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.